you happen to catch up with the Matrix stuff?
No,
Okay.
I watched the first movie and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started watching the second movie.
Yeah.
And I was watching it kind of in parts. Like I would watch a half hour here, a half hour there.
Mm-hmm.
And a little over halfway through, maybe it was the mood I was in that day, but I kind of like didn't care.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So I didn't actually finish the second movie, but I'd be happy to talk about the first one because I thought it was fantastic.
Okay, all right, maybe we will if we get to it, because I watched the new one.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes, and I might have a lot to say about it.
Oh, man.
I might.
So since you've seen it, because I asked this question last week, am I able to jump into this new one if I haven't like seen half of the second movie and then the entire third one?
You might need to just.
I'm sure there's like a YouTube like recap or whatever, because for most people it's been like well over a decade, you know?
Yeah. No, I think you actually do need to see the last one. Okay. Because there's just some characters that you're gonna be like, who the fuck?
Yeah, there were a lot of characters added to the second movie.
Yes, they do. They do that even more in the third one. And then apparently, so I went down a whole thing. There was lots of Wikipedia. So apparently the PlayStation 2 video game Enter the Matrix is like incredibly canon.
Oh wow.
To the point where it's like the second half of the third movie.
But isn't the third movie already the second half of the second movie?
That was the impression I got. But this was like the game takes place like at the same time as the third movie, and it seems like so there are like gaps in the third movie, and the game like those are just scenes in the game instead. So like they actually like cut out parts of the movie and put them in the game.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. And it explains some shit that I was really confused about in the third movie.
I've never heard of anything like that.
Yeah.
Is there like some sort of director's cut or something that puts those back in, or?
I don't think so.
That's so weird.
Yeah, because I watched like the Blu-ray version or whatever of the third movie, like, you know, like a recent release of the third movie. So
yeah, because like usually video game tie-ins are like throwaways. Like I remember there was that Lost video game that came out, and it was technically canon, but it really isn't meaningful in any way to the story.
Yeah, so there were cutscenes in the game that were filmed by the Wachowski sisters with the with the original actors.
Oh, that's like cool, but also just like so bizarre.
Yeah, apparently the gameplay is actually like dog shit. So it's like not like worth it to, you know. But yeah, it's fascinating. I still don't think, because I think it does a disservice to the movie, especially because I didn't really like that third movie. But yeah, really, really fascinating. And it does explain some things that I was confused about, but I had to Wikipedia this after I watched the fourth one.
Even that feels a little bit
like,
meta, because
it does.
Because it's like the Matrix itself is this virtual world that's separate from the real world, and
yeah,
you have to go into a video game to get parts of the story and stuff.
Yeah, because there's some things in the fourth one where I like had to like, okay, this feels like they're doing some in-jokes, so I wanted to look some shit up. And then I thought somebody might have had a cameo that I wanted to look and see, but that wasn't the case. So that's what started it. And then I went down this rabbit hole of looking up Matrix video games on Wikipedia. So yeah, strange tie-in.
And what's the
not even a tie-in?
What's the like Unreal Engine thing that I saw came out recently?
Yeah, I don't know what that was. Some kind of free Unreal Engine demo?
Yeah, I saw it advertised on my Xbox, but I didn't actually like check it out.
Yeah, me either.
Turns out it's a sequel to the latest movie.
Yeah, who know.
Who knows? It could be important.
It might be. Yeah, I don't know. But there was also. So the structure of the Matrix MMO also helped me sort of understand some context for the fourth movie.
When was the MMO from?
Like 2003.
Oh, wow.
Like it's not necessary, but it just sort of helped my brain sort of contextualize some things.
Wow, an MMO takes it even further in the Matrix world, right? Because that's like almost like you have a life in there, and it's pretty interesting.
Yes. So yeah. So I think when you get there, we have to talk about the fourth movie.
Okay.
Because
yeah. So I mean, I don't want to prevent you from getting your thoughts out there today, but I do plan on seeing it. Because the tricky thing is it expires from HBO Max in like a week as well. So I need to hurry up. There's going to be a window where it's not streaming anywhere. So
see that's what happened to me with the other movies. I didn't know I had this unseen timer where they were not going to be on Hulu until 2022.
Yeah. But yeah, that first one is really fantastic.
It's really good. Yeah.
Like, why did nobody tell me The Matrix is so good?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I've seen a like blockbuster Hollywood movie that is so like anti-capitalist and leftist in such an like obvious way.
Yeah.
Because that's like what it is. Like it's the entire thing is just like a takedown of capitalism and like the world we live in. But yeah, I thought that was really fascinating. And then like I was listening to the Bechdel cast because they did an episode recently about the original Matrix, and they had on Emily Vanderwerf, who is like I think a TV critic and a journalist, and she did a lot of the like writing on the Matrix as like an allegory for like the trans experience. Like that was discussed. It's been discussed for a long time, but she sort of brought it into the mainstream like discourse.
Yeah.
So that's a really fascinating aspect to it as well, because you can see that like the Wachowski sisters, they've talked about it, and they said that like it wasn't ever a conscious choice for the movie to be like an allegory for like, you know, transness, but they definitely acknowledge that it was like there under the surface. Like if it wasn't conscious, it was like a subconscious thing.
Sure. And
it comes through, especially like the pill scene, like the dialogue around the pill scene and stuff like that. So that was really fascinating too.
Yeah.
And like on top of that, it's just like such an entertaining and well paced, and like the fighting choreography is amazing. Yeah, it's just so good. It's so good.
Yeah. It's interesting because like the fourth movie addresses those readings.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. It's like
so that's like just like I think I'm struggling in the same way. I'm in the same spot you were last week, because I was watching the second film, and they've added a lot of characters, and they've sort of expanded like the world. Like you're seeing Zion and all the way that functions, but it's like a lot of it isn't really compelling to me.
Yeah,
I'm still really into the Neo and Trinity relationship. That's like at the core of everything, but a lot of the stuff surrounding it and the plot, to be honest, really isn't that interesting.
Right. That was my thing. I had like such an issue with like the cosmology of everything, where I didn't know specifically like where we are, like when you're not in the Matrix. You know, like, okay, are we on a planet? Are we in space? Like there are these ships, you know, are we like we're in a cave system? Are we on a planet? Like I couldn't locate. Like I felt like I was just like adrift.
Yeah. And then on top of that,
yeah,
so there's that, and then on top of it, like they're introducing characters left and right, and you don't know if they're like real people or if they're part of the Matrix or what their situation is or their significance to the story.
Yeah,
it's convoluted.
Yeah,
it's too convoluted.
Yeah, and that gets worse in the third one, where now all of a sudden, like they're the show basically, like those characters, and there's more of them, and you really don't give a shit.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because there's some really good actors. Like they brought on the actor who plays, I believe, Michael from Lost.
Yeah.
And then there's like Jada Pinkett Smith. So like, there's a lot of really good actors and stuff. But like also another thing was, and I know it's by design, like I know it's just how the people like are in this universe, but like the acting is so stiff.
Yes.
And I know that's intentional, but like for some reason it got to me more in the second movie, because there is so much like extended like dialogue with like the councils and all this like exposition and stuff, and it's like these characters are talking in like monotone voices and their mannerisms are so stiff, and it's like, ugh, I don't know.
Well, because it's like whenever they're in the Matrix and they're like all leather clad in these glasses, you know, and Morpheus says, "Free your mind," you know, it's like it's supposed to be like, you know, like over the top and ridiculous, but like you're in it, you're into it, and it's, you know,
in that
you're there
context,
for
it's badass.
Yeah, but then like whenever like everybody's in rags and you know you're in this cave city and they're just kind of like lore dumping about machines, but they're still talking that way. You know, it doesn't match. It doesn't fit the same way.
Totally.
So, and unfortunately, that's like all of the third movie.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get through them. I'm going to finish the second movie. I have maybe like an hour to go, 45 minutes to go. And then I'll watch the third one, and then I'll finally catch up, and I guess we can talk about the fourth one then.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Do you want that to be like our movie for next week?
Sure, we could do that.
I mean, as long as you like can keep.
It saves me 2.5 hours.
Yeah, as long as you don't mind like waiting a week to talk about it, because I know it's like fresh.
No,
it's fresh for you now, but
yeah, no, I could save it. That's fine.
All right, cool.
Yeah, that sounds good. Hey, it's the DeadEndRoad show.
Oh yeah.
It's been 15 minutes. Let's just jump into our movie for this week then.
Sure. Yeah, so we're talking about Paul Schrader's The Card Counter, starring Oscar Isaac and Tiffany Haddish and Ty Sheridan and Willem Dafoe's in there too.
Yes, he is.
So yeah, this is Paul Schrader's much anticipated follow-up to First Reformed. It's about, Oscar Isaac plays this ex-military interrogator / ex-convict who is now doing like the blackjack and poker circuit. And he runs into this kid played by Ty Sheridan who has a connection to his past life. And so he ends up taking him along on the circuit with him, and some stuff happens from there. I'm curious what you thought about this one, especially because you didn't really care for First Reformed.
Yes, I did not, and I'm in the vast minority in that one. This was a weird one. This was really weird. So I have to ask at first, was your aspect ratio strange?
So there were no letterboxes on the, top and bottom of the screen, but there were some thin ones on the left and right. So it was like not quite a square aspect ratio, but it filled the screen more than your typical movie.
Okay. Yeah. This felt like it was shot with like 18 different styles.
Okay, so I'm glad that we're kicking this off with the sort of like aesthetic of the movie, because that is something I struggled with.
Okay.
Because it felt to me, well, first of all, this movie had to have been shot during COVID.
Yes.
Because there are so many scenes in places that are just empty. Like there are no people around. Like they're at a bar, like a casino bar, and it's just them two, like the two main characters talking. And that's like every other scene where there's like nobody around. Like it just feels so empty.
Yeah. And
I know like casinos aren't always the most like, eventful places, but like this movie felt like so empty. And on top of that, something about the way it was filmed felt very artificial to me. Like the entire time I was watching it, I was conscious of the fact that I was watching a movie, if you know what I mean. Like
I felt like I was watching footage. I don't know if I was watching a movie. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know if I quite know the distinction there.
Okay, so like at the very beginning, most of the shots are from far away, where the camera is completely stationary. The camera does not move onto its focus, and you don't even necessarily know what the focus of the shot is supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Like it'll be just from the corner of the motel room, right? And then Oscar Isaac walks in, and the camera doesn't necessarily follow him. It's just there. It's almost voyeuristic, almost like it's like a security cam. So that's like how a lot of the shots in the beginning of the movie are shot. Then there are shots like midway through that are just lots of close-ups, close-ups of hands, close-ups of objects, things like that. Then there are like later on, there's lots of more fluid shots where the camera is moving around a whole lot. And it just felt like all these different contrasting styles where it didn't necessarily feel like it was maybe pieced or edited together to be like this cohesive whole. So it felt like I was just watching footage rather than a movie. So I was conscious of the fact that I was more conscious of the shots more so than if that makes sense.
Yeah,
now.
I get that. Yeah, I get that too. And like, I don't know, there was such a sameness to all the locations. And I know that it's a circuit for like all these different casinos, but even so, like the way that, I don't know, it was just, it took like characters talking in rooms to like the next level, because every room is like the same and there's like no differentiating between them. And I don't know if that was intentional or not.
It might have been, but then at the same time, like there are just shots of a motel room, and then we have a character that is turning every motel room into just a white room with sheets covering everything.
Mm-hmm.
So they literally all look the same.
Yeah.
Then you do have casinos that are all looking the same with slight variations. So like it was clear that they were filmed on location. I also got the sense that like there were only like 5 actors.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 max, and then everyone else was like maybe like an either like a really raw extra or like an actual person.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was like on location.
Yeah, so like this movie makes like competitive poker seem like the most isolating and like bleak experience for that to be your life, because it does feel like so empty, because there really aren't people in this movie, as weird as that sounds.
Yeah, they're just sort of a weird backdrop.
Mm-hmm. I mean, speaking of that, there was one scene in particular, and like I didn't know what to make of it, which is where 2 characters are talking at like a bar, and there's a woman, like an employee of the casino, and she's crying over to the side, and the characters like acknowledge her, and one of them asks if she's okay, and then she like turns to them and she's like, "Yeah, I'm fucking okay. Like, wait, what do you think? Like, I'm crying right now." But and then that was it.
I had no idea what to make of that.
I had no idea either, because they never returned to her.
I thought that was going to be like a turning point of the movie where like something was about to happen,
mm-hmm.
and then that was just this weird non sequitur.
I'm like, maybe this is like a very maybe this is like an external representation of like something the character's feeling internally that you can't see. But I don't even think it was that. I really just didn't know what to make of that scene. It was very strange.
No, yeah. It really made me feel like they were shooting this on location.
Yeah.
And like everybody was like a real, like all these extras were just like actual employees and shit. And they were just rolling,
mm-hmm.
like these were like just the takes. And so, and the only like reason, like I also felt this way was, Tiffany Haddish is one of the leads. And the last movie I saw her in was the Eric Andre prank movie.
Oh, wow.
Which also was where every other character aside from Eric Andre, I forget the other star, and then Tiffany Haddish, every other character, quote unquote, was a real person.
Yeah, because it's like a candid camera prank type of thing mixed into a road movie.
Yeah. And that was like the weird sense I also got from this, with all of the like extras and background characters, not really characters, but background people in the movie. But also speaking of Tiffany Haddish, I found her performance like really, really stiff and awkward. And I didn't know quite what to make of it, which was odd because she's a very funny actress, and like she killed it in that Eric Andre movie. I know these are very, very different movies.
Yeah.
They couldn't be more different. But she was very, very stiff. And it was really jarring compared to Oscar Isaac, who's like doing like this, not necessarily brooding, but like this very, like demure, like blank slate performance of this guy who's like, he's literally keeping his cards close to his chest,
mm-hmm.
And she's kind of given like this like really awkward, stiff kind of reading of these lines.
I just don't know like how well those 2 characters worked together. Not even on like an acting level, but on like a screenplay level, because it's like you have everything that Oscar Isaac's doing, and then she's like trying to relate to him, and she's trying to relate to this guy who is just like suffering internally because of all the, the stuff that he's dealing with. And then they do end up having like a romantic relationship. And even that especially I didn't get it. Didn't make much sense to me. Like I didn't really have an issue with her performance as much as I had with like the character dynamic. Didn't really make a lot of sense. Like for the most part, she's like sort of like bantering with the kid, right?
Yeah.
And there's like a back and forth between them, and that's like, fine or whatever. But yeah, it's a strange film.
Yeah.
Like, so this movie, like the Oscar Isaac's character, he's dealing with his complicity in this horrific military interrogation that he went to prison for.
We should just explain that part, because that's not really so he was a U.S. soldier that was involved in the Abu Ghraib interrogation war crimes. So that's his character.
Yeah.
And so he went to a military prison for that because they explained that his character was in the photographs that came out of the Abu Ghraib prison situation. So he went to prison, and they say that his superiors didn't, and so he went to prison for about 10 years. So that is his character, and so he is dealing with that. He at the movie, for most of the movie, he is out of prison. He's now counting cards and circulating the country as like a small-time gambler is his deal.
Yeah, and so like I was kind of trying to figure out how war crimes and like torture relates to like thematically relates to poker. Right? Because
they try to explain it in the voiceovers as like, and I guess he tries to explain it to the kid as like it being like reading people.
Okay.
But I don't know if they do the best job of equating the two.
Because see, what worked so well for me, at least with First Reformed, was it's a movie about climate change and science versus faith, right? And there's a lot of like crossover between the two and how they sort of interact and contradict with each other. Like that's the whole internal struggle with the Ethan Hawke character. It's like trying to reconcile like his faith with what's happening in the world around him. And I thought that mixture was really, really smart and handled well. But with this movie, like structurally, this movie has a lot in common with First Reformed, because you have this character who is having this internal struggle with himself, and it's sort of manifesting in both his profession and what has gone on in the world and his involvement with that. And then you also get like the voiceover narration and the weird quirks to the character, and the people around him are sort of like helping to provide, like instead of Amanda Seyfried, you have Ty Sheridan, for example. Like the supporting characters are sort of like supporting his struggle for the most part. So like this, the screenplay, like there's a lot that the two have in common. Like that's kind of Paul Schrader's thing, right? That's what he's good at. But with this one, like the whole poker and gambling and torture interrogation, that like it just none of it really connected in the same way.
Yeah.
So the movie just didn't work as well for me as First Reformed did.
I don't think it worked in general.
Yeah.
Like the whole scene where, I guess like the whole bit where he's doing the poker thing basically for this kid, to get this kid to like, straighten his life out, to go back to college, pay off his college debts and get back to school. And then he basically forces the kid to do that. And then the kid agrees. And then the kid doesn't.
Yeah, but I should say like the scene, like the pivotal scene in the movie where you don't quite know what's going on until it's revealed, like the motivation of Oscar Isaac's character. Because like you were saying, his cards are kept close to him. Like you kind of, there's like ambiguity for a large portion of this movie. And I think a lot of it is to make that reveal impactful. And that, I'm talking about the one in the hotel room with the briefcase.
No, that wasn't. No, see, that didn't work for me.
Okay, because I was going to say that's like the one thing that I did kind of like.
No, because he had already explained like multiple times that was what he was doing the tournaments for.
He explained it to Tiffany Haddish's character, but I thought that was more of him like potentially covering for himself. Like I thought the whole time he was saying that, I thought he had a different motive, but it turns out he actually didn't.
Yeah, no, I didn't think he had anything. And it was just the impetus for him like suddenly doing that was that the kid was like, yeah, I'm not going to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So then he's like, okay, well, I guess I have to.
Yeah, because that's another thing. Like the kid, there was so much meandering with the kid too, because he takes him on the circuit with him, and then the kid's just kind of there, and they're kind of just buying time until they get to that moment.
Yeah, there was not really much direction there. Like Oscar Isaac had a direction because he was like, well, I'm going to get to the World Series of Poker final, but then I'm not going to do it because I don't want the attention.
Mm-hmm.
So like he had a thing, but the kid sort of didn't. So I guess that would have been the end, you know?
Because the kid
but then
wasn't...
the kid sort of rushed things.
Because the kid wasn't really a character. He was just there
no.
for Oscar Isaac's story.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like the same...
The kid
yeah.
had a goal, but like... He didn't really have a plan that was fleshed out, which Oscar Isaac did point out to him multiple times. But he didn't kind of like really step in and say like, hey, you actually can't do this fucking thing.
He's like, every now and then he checks in. He's like, hey, you still thinking about doing that thing?
Yeah.
It's probably not a good idea.
Yeah. What else was I going to say? So the scene where they go to the prison where Oscar Isaac was for 10 years, and then he like wanted to show the kid the prison, and then the kid doesn't want to go in, but then Oscar Isaac goes in anyway, and then we don't see that.
No, you cut directly to him returning to the hotel.
Yeah, well, what was that about?
I have no idea. I mean, maybe there was something cut.
I guess, but then why? I don't know.
Maybe it was there to just show... I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Like, now that you bring that up, I really don't know.
Because Oscar Isaac was like, yeah, I like made an appointment with somebody I wanted you to meet or whatever. And it's like, oh, okay, this seems like it's kind of important. Like, it's clearly like a scared straight thing. But then it's like, well, if Oscar Isaac still goes in, like, who the fuck was that? We don't get any of that?
Yeah, all that scene did was create some tension between the two, between Oscar Isaac and Ty Sheridan's characters. But then that tension kind of went nowhere either. It kind of just like died out, and then we moved on. So yeah, a strange movie, like you said. Underwhelming for me.
Yeah.
But kind of a disappointment. Like overall, not a terrible movie. Just some strange choices going on.
Yeah. Like even the very end, like there's like now this big confrontation with Willem Dafoe, and then they're basically about to have like a climactic battle for all intents and purposes, like these two war criminals, and then we don't even see any of it; we just hear it.
So that I actually didn't mind. I do ultimately like where the film landed with Oscar Isaac's character, where like he's not able to forgive himself or move on from this. So he's basically finding the best way to like punish himself, right? And the way they framed that scene, I thought it was pretty effective because you hear them going at it from the other room. Then eventually he comes out with like these cracked, broken fingers and he's like bleeding from the face, and he calls the police and basically turns himself in. Like that all was pretty cool to me. Like this definitely wasn't like The Last Duel, right? Where you're getting an extended like fight sequence. But
I wasn't. I'm to be clear, I wasn't looking for like an actual like battle to the death.
Sure,
even though that was even though that was the terms that Oscar Isaac gave.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like looking for like the gore of them torturing each other. But like just the way that it was set up to me was like weird to then not show a thing, like especially the way that we actually had to see like Abu Ghraib torture, and then to not even get like the I guess maybe the catharsis of seeing him like beat the shit at the very least out of Willem Dafoe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I do wonder if that was like a logistical thing where it's like...
I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it was. Stunt people or whatever. Because this seemed to be so like very small scale, like on the whole. Like there had to be like less than 10 actors, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. So this is another weird thing. What was with all the weird Asian racism?
What?
There were like a lot of weird jokes about Asians.
Am I forgetting about this, or did I just somehow not pick up on that?
I guess you didn't pick up on it because so like whenever he's explaining some kind of poker thing to the kid, he was like saying something about, oh yeah, Asian gamblers. So there's that line. there's another one, and then whenever Tiffany Haddish's character meets that that Asian guy, the heavyset Asian guy that she knows with the kid, and then after he walks away, she's explaining how he knows him, and then like how he has his nickname or whatever, and then she says like, oh yeah, he's got more chins than a Chinese phone book, and then there was like a couple more lines where they were just like weird Asian like stereotype jokes like that.
Oh yeah, I guess I kind of wasn't picking up on that. That's not good though. They just kind of
kept piling up, and I'm like, what's going on here?
Because that's a theme there. That's.
I was like, what is this?
Yeah, I don't know.
It was really weird and specific. Mm-hmm. It felt because that was the other thing. So like whenever the movie like it started with like an opening credits thing with a typeface that looked like it was from the 90s, and it was in this weird letterbox thing, and so I'm like, oh, okay, this must be set in like maybe late 80s, 90s, maybe early 2000s at the latest. And then the first scene is him driving in like a very modern sedan, and I'm like, oh, okay, well that was off the mark.
Yeah.
and then they're making like really outdated racial humor.
I mean,
like, it was all very.
I'm not going to.
All very strange.
Yeah, I'm not going to attempt to like excuse that or anything, because that's really bad. But Paul Schrader's an old dude. Like he's been making movies since like the 70s, and maybe you can kind of attribute some of that. Not that it's okay, obviously, but you can maybe kind of attribute some of that to just him being him.
Yeah, I guess.
Which again, not excusing that. That's but like Paul Schrader is known. He's basically just one of those guys who rants on Facebook.
Oh God,
that's who he is. Like that's what people know him for now. So yeah, it's not good.
It was very strange. It was like, okay, all right, but then there was only like one Asian person in the movie, and then you're making a fat joke and then an Asian joke on top of it. I was like, okay, all right. Mm-hmm. Like what is this? Mm-hmm. It was really weird.
Yeah, it's not
strange.
Good. Well, I should mention as much as the negative stuff we're saying about this film, one person really loved this movie so much so that they made it their number one film of 2021.
Oh yeah.
Yes, like how like certain like filmmakers and celebrities will release their list of favorite movies and stuff of the year.
Uh-huh.
Well, a prominent director came out with his top 10 films of the year, and a lot of the usual like the usual picks are there, like Memoria and like Spencer and whatnot, right?
Uh-huh.
But at number one from this acclaimed filmmaker is The Card Counter. Do you know whose list this is?
If I read the URL,
it's Paul Schrader.
Oh.
Paul Schrader named The Card Counter his own movie as the number one film of 2021.
Oh, huh.
So at least it has an endorsement from someone.
Huh.
I just thought that was an unusual choice there.
Okay.
It's a bold one, a bold choice for sure.
It is. I mean, was he being cheeky where he's just like, yeah, go see the card counter?
Honestly, I don't know. Like this, like the distributor, like I forget who distributes this movie, but they basically had to tell him to tone it down on Facebook.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
During the press tour and stuff. Like, I don't know. He's certainly a character. But anyway, that was The Card Counter. I can't say I'd recommend it. You're much better off watching First Reforms.
Honestly, for as much shit as I gave that one, yeah. While we're in the movie realm, did you see the David Lynch thing I put in here?
No.
Okay. So I might have to screen share this or something so you could see, but hold on, hopefully this works. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Pronounce WMM's full username.
Wait,
this idea was born that I would try to pronounce WMM's full username with cinema lovers' panties in my mouth. So now, this being dedicated to WMM, we're going to do just that. So, Cinema, are you ready to go?
I'm ready, David.
Fantastic, Cinema. I'm really looking forward to this. So, if you could give me your panties now, and we'll get going.
Okay.
That's beautiful, Cinema.
Here you go, David.
Thank you very much. They're still warm. Okay, now, they're very warm, as a matter of fact, Cinema.
Sorry about that.
Okay, and now the deal is I'm going to put these panties in my mouth and pronounce WMM's full username. Are you ready? There you go, WMM. You saw it here first. And thank you very much, Cinema, for taking part in this.
You're welcome.
These are, I'm going to keep these panties if you don't mind.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Where do we begin here?
Yeah. So that was a video. You don't really need the video to. You heard the audio of David Lynch stuffing a pair of panties in his mouth. So I don't know the context. I don't think any context would help explain.
Yeah, I mean, I love how she gets up to to take the panties off, and so the camera the camera zooms in on Lynch's face in that moment, and so he's just got like this smile, and then you see his eyes turn to watch her.
Yeah, but he's a gentleman about it. He asks her, every step of the way. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a freak.
No, I mean,
there's
full consent here.
There's full consent. He's like, hey, do you mind if I, could have your panties? Like, put them in my mouth. So apparently he used to have a website where like you could pay to be like a member or whatever, and he would just do live streams and shit like that.
So he was like the original Twitch streamer.
Basically, yeah.
And so did somebody like donate, and this was their request, I'm assuming?
So apparently there was also a message board on the website, and he was also heavily involved on this message board where there was some kind of either bet or wager or whatever, where because he was reading out somebody's username, and it was basically like, oh yeah, I bet you can't read my username with panties in your mouth or something. Something like that, something along those lines. And so then he's like, okay, I'll just do it.
Yeah. So, but then Cinema Lover, who's in there with the room with him, like Cinema Lover, that's a screen name. So I'm assuming that she's on the message boards as well. But how did she end up in the room with David Lynch?
Probably because she's a young, attractive woman.
Okay.
That's probably why.
Oh my God.
That's beautiful, Cinema.
I'm going to keep these. I mean...
They're very warm.
And she apologized.
Yes, she apologizes for them being warm. I don't think he was upset. Oh my God.
Oh man. A true treasure, David Lynch.
Okay, so I have a bigger story here, but maybe we want to do the dating is dead first.
So I just had a quick dating is dead. Something that I'm sure most people have seen from this week. So Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly have been in a relationship since 2020.
Have they?
They have.
Okay.
And
sure.
Yeah. So, every now and then you'll hear something about them. It turns out they've just gotten engaged. And there's a detail in this that caught my eye here. So there's an Instagram post from Megan Fox where she announced this. I just kind of want to read it. So the post says, in July of 2020, we sat under this banyan tree. We asked for magic. We were oblivious to the pain we would face together in such a short, frenetic period of time, unaware of the work and sacrifices the relationship would require from us, but intoxicated off of the love and the karma. Somehow, a year and a half later, having walked through hell together and having laughed more than I ever imagined possible, he asked me to marry him. And just as in every lifetime before this one, and as in every lifetime that will follow it, I said yes. And then we drank each other's blood.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I give it about a year.
Do you?
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna take the over on this one. I think they are a good match.
I give it a year.
Yeah, so that was the detail that, you know, made a lot of headlines this week, was that they drank each other's blood to sort of symbolize their engagements.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's probably got hepatitis, right?
Well,
you know,
so I mean, it's kind of appropriate because the first time that they were publicly like seen together was during so she was in like one of his music videos, and the song title is Bloody Valentine.
Oh, sure.
So this kind of feels like you know, just like a brand type of move here, you know, like some marketing.
So was this full on vampire? Like they went for the neck, or did they like?
I haven't seen it. I just like to picture they had like two cocktail glasses and they just sort of like did a toast, and they just sort of.
But how are you exsanguinating? How are you
just
getting in there?
Just a cut, you know, a small cut, and you let it drip. Huh. Now, do you think Machine Gun Kelly's wedding is going to be a shotgun wedding?
Interesting. I guess it depends on if is Megan Fox, is her father still around? You know, I guess that's the real test.
Wait, what is her? Wait, am I misunderstanding what a shotgun wedding is?
Yeah.
Well, a shotgun wedding is when the bride is pregnant, right?
Yeah, and so the father is there with a shotgun, making sure the groom stays to marry the daughter.
Is that okay? That's where that came from. Oh, okay, yeah. Gotcha.
Unless I'm misunderstanding.
No, that makes sense. Definitely a product of the patriarchy.
Yeah, well, sure, of course.
Yeah, so, you know, I thought that was interesting. I mean, it seems on brand for them. They seem happy together though, so that's great.
Is it happiness? It just seems like they're sort of trying to sell Hot Topic merch or something. It seems, I don't know, it seems like created in a brand vat to me. I don't know. Whatever.
Okay, so that was this week's Dating is Dead. Oh.
Hold on. I went back into the I don't know, the cesspit. I don't know what to call it. Okay. So I got just a few while we're here.
Now, by the way, this was the sort of the version of the segment that got you in trouble the first time.
Oh, who gives a fuck? That was not why I stopped doing it. I just haven't been on the sites. All right, so this first one, the self-summary is, I could literally put anything here and I would still get dozens of messages a day from dudes asking for sexy time. I eat out of the garbage. I haven't showered in weeks. I keep my surgically removed ingrown toenail in a jar by my bed. You turned on? You like that? You people are animals. I need a drink.
That's fantastic. Bravo. I'd be curious how many respond. I'm sure that got a lot of responses.
You know, I would be
probably dudes that think that they think they're like being ironic by responding, but they're actually like serious.
Yeah. Okay, this next one's a long one. Here for some chit chat. I have ton of questions, LOL. We can talk about anything anyway. Do people really enjoy their corona? Nah, I'm not talking about that corona. I'm talking about another one. Is it like a curse from corona that the real shit of corona has ruining our lives? Y'all confused? Yeah, me too. NGL, both coronas are shit though. A bit of a disclaimer here, I'm not like your typical bitches. I don't walk around with an inch thick of makeup covering my pores, tight clothes, 5 inches of heels, and wavy bright colored hair. I'm more of a homey girl and willing to cook you some good creamy mac and cheese, or do you want some cupcakes? Cupcake emoji question mark. I didn't mean to be salty, I'm just lowering your expectations of me. Please know the difference, prayer hands emoji. I had a stroke in the first half of that.
Then the mac and cheese really grabbed my attention. Yeah.
Well, they're not like typical bitches, you see.
So creamy mac and cheese and cupcakes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I still don't know what corona they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, the only coronas I know are the virus and the beer, right?
Yeah.
So, and I don't know who has it out for the beer that that badly.
I don't know.
So
they're talking about some kind of curse. I don't know.
I'm sure this person will get a bunch of responses from dudes.
You think?
Yeah.
Just because I'm not like other bitches. 25, reading enthusiast, financier, grad student, podcast host, self-proclaimed intellect, always laughing, old soul that hates Instagram and doesn't post on it, prefers calls over texts, not into guys that are social media obsessed or follow unrealistic people with distorted beauty standards, very much into men that are masculine and know themselves and what they want from life, looking for a partner I can buy my own dinner/drink. Middle Eastern looking from an Italian background, but I'm white and American born. Family is everything. Do not message me if you have a lot of tattoos, you are over the age of 35, you aren't vaccinated, you have children, or you are liberal. There are no exceptions. This is my private life and my standards.
So for a minute there, it sounded like one of those ads for medication where it's like, do not take this medication if you are over the age of 35 and unvaccinated. So
yeah, there's a lot
Middle
here.
Eastern looking, but they're white.
I'm glad that you picked up on that too.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Like, why would you? Oh my God.
Yes.
I don't know
why you'd say that. I don't know why you'd ever say that. Yeah, I look Middle Eastern, but I'm not. Okay.
Thanks for clarifying.
All right. Yeah. Just so you know, I'm definitely white. Don't profile me. Do not profile me.
It's
an
like
American born. I'm American. No liberals. Masculine men only. All right. Now Dating is Dead is over. All right. I got this big one here. Are you familiar with Shen Yun?
I am not.
Okay. So maybe it's a little less proliferated out here. The ads, I mean. Or maybe you're under a rock. I don't know, but I don't go outside out here either, so I haven't seen them. But out in Pittsburgh, there's ads fucking plastered everywhere. So Shen Yun is a dance performance that tours the country. From my research, there are about 7 different troupes that concurrently tour. And they go to all the major cities around the U.S. Usually they hit big around the holidays, but it seems like they tour like winter and spring. And they, whenever they're in season, they plaster whatever city they're in with billboard ads, posters, maybe even local TV ads with Shen Yun, Shen Yun, Shen Yun. They will flood restaurants with flyers. They will send mailers. They will inundate whatever city they're currently going to be in with advertisements. And their advertisements have gotten more brazen. Now their advertisements blatantly say, see China before communism. So people see the ads. They don't know what the hell it is. Some people go to the performance. They don't know what it is. Behind the dance performance is a cult. The cult is called Falun Gong, or also known as Falun Dafa. They are an ultra-conservative cult that was originally based in China, but now they are based in upstate New York. They have a headquarters called Dragon Springs. And if people go to the performance, a lot of old people go, because that's sort of like the target audience is like older people, because it's that's just who they're kind of targeting. It's like this dancey kind of performance thing. But it's a very strange performance because it shows the supposed persecution of the Falun Gong adherents by the Chinese government. And also by gay people, they proclaim the evilness of atheism and evolution in the performance. And at a certain point during the performance, they showcase images on a screen behind the dancers. And like a gigantic Chairman Mao pops out of the clouds with like evil red eyes. And then later on, there's like a tsunami wave with a gigantic Karl Marx head that pops out. So it's just this very strange, surreal performance mixed in with dance. And they're backed by this cult, and then the performance is a way to sort of proliferate their beliefs, this anti-communist beliefs. They have these very conservative beliefs, anti-atheist, anti-evolution. anti-homosexuality. So the Falun Dafa, they're pretty freaking weird. And it's hard to get a read on them because they are locked in basically a propaganda war with the Chinese government. So you really can't necessarily trust word of what the Chinese government says about them, and you definitely can't trust the word that this cult says about themselves or the Chinese government. So it's pretty hard to get a read on them. Like, even reading their Wikipedia page, I can tell that it has been heavily skewed to favor the cult, just based off of the information that is here. For example, the Falun Gong claim that the Chinese government has persecuted them to such a degree that their members are rounded up and put in prisons for their organs to be harvested. And they claim that millions of their members have been captured and had their organs harvested. But there is very little evidence of that happening. Meanwhile, like, the Wikipedia page is like full on about that information. But there is not that much information about that actually happening. But in 2001, I believe, this religious movement, this cult, is banned in China. The CCP has completely banned them from happening in China, which is why they moved to upstate New York. But in 2001, members of the Falun Gong set themselves on fire in Tiananmen Square as some form of protest, or it's unclear why they did it.
Oh, you think if you're going to do something like that, you'd really want to make it clear your purpose behind it.
Right. Yeah. It was unclear. And Falun Gong, they try to hide that information, that any of their members had ever done that. Going so far as to threaten lawsuits and DMCA takedowns, blah, 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 in order to try to keep that information hidden, even though it did happen. So they have some really weird beliefs. They position themselves as a sort of like Buddhist meditation system. And so that's sort of how, like, their outward facing beliefs. They claim that it's a combination of Taoism and Buddhism. They claim that karma is this negative aspect to the self, and that a way to lessen the amount of karma that you possess is through suffering. And so they don't allow their members to take medicine when they're sick in order for them to suffer and lessen the amount of karma that they have. They also believe that aliens are attacking the, like, human soul for some reason.
Maybe they're looking at those U.S. government documents.
Yeah, that aliens are attacking the soul in order to they're attempting to control the human soul to make them depend on science, because they're very anti-science, or at least modern science. They also said that it's God's plan to eliminate the gay population.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if God's plan is working too well, because as the generations go on, like, they just become more and more gay. So I don't know if that's really working.
They say that they're not racist, but their teachings say that there are basically separate heavens for each race, and that so it's a really bad idea for relationships between the races.
But they're not racist.
No, but they're not racist. The homosexuality and promiscuity is unnatural. Let's see what else. So the other big thing, and you may be familiar with this. Do you know? Have you heard of, like, the news outlet, the newspaper, the Epoch Times?
I have not.
EPOCH.
No. I guess I am living under that rock.
Okay. Well, it is an ultra conservative, far right news outlet. And it is backed by the Falun Gong cult.
Of course.
And is based in New York City. And they spent $2 million in 2019 on pro-Trump Facebook ads. They have promoted QAnon and anti-vaccine information. And they also promote Shen Yun and, other Falun Gong associated things. But they're an incredibly far-right source of disinformation. And most people do not know that they are backed by this bizarro cult. They just see them as a very conservative. Most people think they're a conservative Christian news source.
Oh, wow. So this Shen Yun, like the performances, the tours that they go on, are these like major venues that they're playing?
Yeah, they play major theaters.
I mean,
yeah.
How the theater organizers, like, do they not, are they not aware? Like, how could they allow a performance like this to?
So I think that just based off of the inundated advertising, and its positioning as just a dance performance, I think that it sells. Right. This is just what I'm thinking. Either that or they pay the theaters for the space.
Yeah, so if the money's there, they can do it. That's just kind of what it comes down to, yeah.
Yeah, just based off of the fact that they can pay for all of this advertising. I don't know that for sure. That's just what I'm thinking. But if you look at reviews for the performance, people are just like, oh yeah, the dancing was great. It got weird, but... Yeah,
just kind of like,
it was pretty good.
Skip over the Karl Marx tsunami.
Yeah, like that. Like that's what reviews are. Like it is so hard to find information like backing this. And so the other problem is that Western governments have bought into the idea that that this is a persecuted religious group. And like a few months ago, the State Department put out a thing saying that they so-and-so 20 years ago, the Chinese government persecuted the Falun Gong, and we stand with freedom of religion or whatever, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah.
So basically they've been able to gain sympathy because people are against the Chinese government for valid reasons, but they're sort of missing the mark about who the actual like victim is, and they're treating this organization, cult, whatever, as like a victim of that when they're really not.
Yes.
Which is quite a position to have there. I mean, God.
Yes. Yeah. And also the fact that this cult backs conservative movements in the United States. So
so they've been successful strategically here. They know how to get in with with the ideologies and the people that are going to allow them to flourish. Wow, that is fascinating.
Yeah. The other thing that is really funny is that they claim that the dance performance is this return to classical Chinese dance that you can't even see in China anymore because they banned the practice or whatever the hell. But it's apparently just ballet. And then they claim that like this ancient Chinese dance actually is what influenced ballet. And that's just not true. So there, I was reading this piece from the New Yorker, and they speak with basically a Chinese dance expert. And so there are Chinese classical dance is actually a modern creation that only goes back to like the 50s. And what the Shen Yun performance is doing is just straight up ballet, that they're just claiming is some kind of classical dance from 5,000 years ago.
I see why they fit in so well with the ultra conservatives, because they can just claim something as their own without any basis for it, making shit up. Yeah.
Yes, they're just making shit up and claiming, and like fucking Americans over here are just like, oh yeah, this is classical Chinese dance. Of course it is.
Which, by the way, I know we're going to talk about the Matrix next week. But I just recently learned that the right wing has like taken the
red pill.
Where
have you been?
Oh, I know. I'm completely out of the loop when it comes to this kind of stuff. But like that is so wild to me because the Matrix is in its ideology is so deeply progressive, and for them to have like turned that around with their backwards logic and taken the red pill and adopted that as like some symbol for themselves.
Yeah, something created by absurd. 2 trans women. Most likely about the trans experience. Yeah, is about, oh no, actually how liberal bad.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. And so the other thing that is really funny about this is that their whole claims of like, oh yeah, see China how it was 5,000 years ago, or like see China before communism ruined it, is like really strange too, because even like Chinese people, or and I'm not an expert on Chinese history by any stretch of the imagination. Don't get me wrong.
Well, nobody's come to this podcast for expert opinions.
But
so
even Chinese people that are vehemently against communist rule, like I forget what it's called, but it's like the dark period of like Chinese history was like during the time period that they're claiming is like this wonderful, beautiful period of song and dance before communism happened.
And by the way, that's not real communism. Like real communism never actually happened in China.
Yeah,
so.
no, it's fucking capitalist. Actually, it's just a capitalist dictatorship. But so yeah, the fact that they're claiming this, is some kind of beautiful period or whatever. Like the time period they're talking about was actually whenever China was basically under imperialist rule from England and Japan and like all these other foreign powers that were like taking and picking away at it. So it's seen as like a period of like great shame to a lot of Chinese people, even those that are completely against, the Communist Party. So it's just very, very strange that they're positioning it like this. It's just like totally made up history. The dance is completely made up. It's just all bullshit.
Well, it kind of mirrors the Make America Great Again, doesn't it? Trying to go back to this time when there was even greater oppression and racism and supremacy and all that.
So what prompted this was I over Christmas when I was in Pittsburgh, of course every year you see the ads, but this year especially, like there were so many billboards. Every billboard was Shen Yun, Shen Yun, Shen Yun. It was so strange and creepy. And this year they were doing the China before communism was the thing. And I was like, what does that even mean? Like, what? Okay, cool. And I just thought that they were trying to appeal to the Pittsburgh demographic. But then I like saw this thread on Twitter that was like, oh yeah, I just learned that Shen Yun is backed by a weird religious cult. And I was like, oh God, I got to look into that.
Oh man.
And so, yeah. And there's the rabbit hole. So now you know.
We have good uses for billboards, like find Malik a wife, and then we have uses like this that are very harmful.
What else we got?
Are they playing New Jersey?
I assume so. I haven't.
They
looked
come
at
into the
their,
NJ Pack?
Their tour dates. Probably. They're anti-vaccine, so I assume they don't give a fuck about anything going on.
Oh, maybe they'll go on tour in support of Eric Clapton.
Hey, there you go. Yeah. Well, actually, no, he's racist as shit, so he probably wants nothing to do with them. It's hard to tell that these people.
It's so
none of their beliefs are consistent about anything.
You can't like you try to grasp like a through line, and then they take like this random left turn, and you're like, oh, can't keep up with these people.
Yep. All right, you probably saw the Pokemon Go cops, right? Yeah. This was really funny. So people probably saw a story. 2 cops, LAPD cops, got fired for playing Pokemon Go whenever they were called to a robbery because they were trying to catch a Snorlax. The really funny thing is that their defense was that they denied to be playing the game. They claimed that they were monitoring a Pokemon tracker application and not the game specifically. And they said that they were capturing an image of the Pokemon and trying to share it with friends and trying to relay that information to the groups on my
Well, you don't
app.
understand. There was a warrant out for this Pokemon's arrest. And so they were just called to action.
Said they were not engaged in a game. Rather, it was a, quote, social media event. Dude, that does not make it
You're
any
just like
better
changing
by any fucking stretch.
The semantic. Like nothing about that makes it better.
They admitted leaving their footbeat area in search of Snorlax, but they insisted they did so both as part of a, quote, extra patrol and to, quote, chase this mythical creature.
Do we know if they found Snorlax?
They did. They did find Snorlax. They got him.
Where they did find okay. Now, I mean, when I saw this story, honestly, and I saw they were fired, I kind of disagreed with that outcome. I kind of feel like these cops should be promoted because this is like the least
a cop
harmful
has ever been
news story involving involving police, and I think that should be celebrated.
They were ignoring a crime in progress.
But what if that crime wasn't really a crime, and then them just getting there would have just caused more problems? So I think they are better off playing video games. I really do.
Counterpoint: fire all the cops.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I think if we took the entire police force and got them addicted to mobile games.
Okay, all right, yeah.
And then just sort of implemented a community solution.
Yeah.
And I guess we could, I mean, you know, if we have to make sacrifices, we can keep paying those cops to play the video games. If we have to, at least they're not killing people for no reason.
Yeah.
You know?
I guess that's true.
But yeah, I like the story.
Yeah, I just, the deflection away. It's like, no, I wasn't playing the game. It was a social media event. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're fired.
Now, I'm not too familiar with like the Pokemon, like the Pokédex or anything. Is there a Pokemon equivalent of a pig? There's gotta be. Yeah.
There's thousands of these suckers now. Yeah. There's what was the pink one? The shit. I don't know. Abort. I forget. I don't remember.
But yeah, more cops neglecting their duties for harmless activities is fine with me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw this. This is from someone I follow on TikTok, Slow Puke. And
I feel like
well, yeah, she's also a Twitch
streamer on the show. Maybe not on the show.
You know, I think I might have mentioned something. Was it the Wendy Williams? Did we talk about Wendy Williams? Because she has she used to do this. There was like one day a week. I don't know if it was like Wendy Wednesdays or something, where she would just watch YouTube clips of Wendy Williams.
No. Does she do an impression of somebody? I think I've seen.
She's made TikToks that are like, yeah.
They're doing an impression of somebody.
But yeah, no, I saw this one and I was curious if we're like coming a little too close to this here. You'll see what I mean.
Some of you, you're not good at podcasts. You're not interesting. And you don't need one. You can just call your friends. Every single day I scroll through TikTok and I see these small podcast accounts who post their clips and their highlights are just shit like this. Dude, yeah, because girls, like, they can be, like, hot. No, dude, like, for real. Yeah, like, they have something that I don't think guys have, in which I don't think guys are hot, but girls, like, they have that, like, they're hot. No, totally, like, it's just one thing that girls have better than us, to be honest. Yeah, totally. All right, what else have I got? Have you heard about this, like, COVID thing? Oh, dude, yeah, it's crazy. So many people are getting sick. Yeah, a lot of people are getting sick. My brother got it. Oh, dude, that sucks. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Okay. What are you doing this weekend? No, nothing. Drinking a bit. Hanging out. Might play some 2K. Was there a new 2K update or something? No. No, I'm just gonna play it. Sick. Don't forget that you can donate $10 a month to us to support our creative endeavors.
Okay. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. Okay, hold on. We're gonna take some notes. We're gonna take some notes right now. Here's what we're gonna do. No more NHL. All right, that's number one. That's number one.
But there was an update.
Right?
There was an update the last time.
No, I don't. Nope. Okay, no more COVID.
But
all right, that's number
Omicron. 2. Do you see how fast it's spreading?
Nope.
Did you hear about how they're checking the sewers?
I don't even know what that means.
So, no, because I saw this thing, because you know how there's like contact tracing, and I know we're about to talk about COVID, so I'm like ruining this whole thing.
God damn it.
Do you know how like the contact tracing in the US is like non-existent? Yeah. So one solution that I guess like scientists have is that they check for contents of COVID in the sewers of like major cities and stuff. And
with the piss
well,
test.
yeah. So what that does is it'll actually allows you to see.
Send us tests. Send us tests.
No, 100%. I'm just saying, like,
Send us tests.
it's no. So
Don't stick the tests in the sewer. They'll do everything but help us.
yeah, but
They'll do everything
I thought it
but
was
help
kind of
us.
interesting though, because the sewers like that, because there's no contact tracing, the sewers actually allow you to see the trends of spread quicker than any other sort of statistic. And so like the sewage tests are showing that Omicron has reached its peak and is on a decline in Boston. By the way, this is coming out of Boston.
All right. Okay. What else? Well, we don't have a Patreon or any of that shit.
Yeah,
so
we're not
we
asking
don't do
for
that.
money, so
We don't ask for money, so we got that covered.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really talk about girl. Shit. Fuck. God damn it.
Hits a little close to home, doesn't it?
Ah, fuck.
You just call your
Call your
friends.
friends. God damn it. Shit. Well,
Yeah.
This is our last episode. Be sure to check out the PayPal. Give me $5.
We'll post the Venmo link in the description. So, what are you doing this weekend?
Fuck. Who else is talking about Shen Yun?
I mean, I've
like-
never heard of it, so I feel like
that's
we're
some content.
Yeah, that is for sure.
God damn it.
And I'll cut down on the NHL.
Yeah, and no more 14. There we go. Cool. Fuck.
See, this is the problem. You're not on TikTok, so you don't know like how to navigate things. Like you have to be on TikTok because that's where you learn.
I know the stereotypes. There was that meme a few months ago. It was the podcaster boyfriend and e-girl girlfriend thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I know the stereotypes.
Well, there's the whole every white dude has a podcast thing, which I feel is pretty valid.
But I thought I was more appropriately navigating.
That's what everybody thinks.
I know.
It's nobody's making a podcast and they think that they're contributing to the stereotype. Yeah.
But
But we're more substantial.
Yeah. This is like the Millhouse. My mom says I'm cool.
Well, I mean, your certain family members have something else to say about your show.
Yeah,
so
true. That's true.
We don't want to use that excuse. But anyway, not to completely derail or cancel the show.
I think this was that bad card flip we had last week.
I mean, how long ago was it that you said you had big plans for this year? Was that like 2 weeks ago?
Yes. They're cooking. The problem is that I was backlogged on the editing.
Right.
So
anything? I did put in at the last second because I'm watching Cheer on Netflix season 2. I feel like with everybody else in the world because it's currently at number 1 on the top 10. Have you seen any of this? Yes, this is a docuseries. The first season came out in January of 2020, and it's about a competitive cheerleading team, Navarro College. They're like one of the best schools in the country when it comes to cheerleading. And so this documentary series is following them as they try to win a national championship. And I found it to be extremely compelling that first season because it's such an intense sport and just like the amount of dedication that goes into doing it at the collegiate level. Like it was such a great portrait of like perseverance and like sacrifice. And it was also just like a really great look at like kids navigating like that time in life too. Just a really, really compelling and really interesting documentary series. And so that happened like 2 years ago, right? I did not expect there to be another season of this.
Well, Netflix has to do 2 seasons.
It's true.
2 seasons.
Yeah, and I was especially surprised because sometime last year there was the news stories about one of the male cheerleaders on the team has been convicted of child pornography charges. Like there was that whole deal.
Okay.
Yeah, he was like,
but this is high school?
No, college. So I believe he was like texting photos with like a child, so like a younger kid. Yeah. So that happened. that was a big like news story for a while. And I did not expect there to be another season of the show. I just figured, you know, because a lot of the people have probably like graduated and moved on and whatnot. But no, they are back for another season. I really didn't know what to expect from it. So it came out this week and I watched the first episode last night, and it is truly fascinating because like there's so much going on, because it picks up basically 2 weeks after the first season came out, right? So these kids are instant celebrities. And so it's dealing with them going on like this wild like press tour where they're like basically saying yes to every outlet that will cover them. They're also training for the upcoming championships. They're dealing with personal issues. There's the foreshadowing of the child porn scandal. Which I should say the show addresses that right off the bat. Like it starts out in present day and then backtracks. So it does address those things right at the start and then goes back in time to tell the whole story. So it's doing all that. And then on top of that, it's covering the Navarro, their rivals, Trinity College, who were on the periphery of season 1, but were never the focus. They were like their biggest competition in the national championships. So it's covering those athletes and coaches as well, and giving them a lot of screen time. And there's a really fascinating like contrast between like coaching philosophies and strategies between the Navarro coach and the Trinity coach. So like it's a very interesting like dynamic there. And then on top of that, this starts out January 2020. So like COVID's about to hit. So it's this storm of just all this stuff happening surrounding the school and its team. And it's just so compelling. Like I've been struggling with like just like my attention lately and just like keeping up with like TV and watching things, even stuff that's like really, really good. My like attention span just hasn't been there, but like I'm glued to the screen.
You got TikTok brain.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, like I'm just like glued to the screen. Like this show is so riveting. I like it so much. Highly recommend if you're not already watching it. Cheer on Netflix. So good. Yeah. Yeah, because it's like dealing with the effects of the first season, the effects that had on the people involved, which is pretty interesting route for a documentary to go down. You know. But yeah, that's all I had. I threw that in at the last second because I wanted to. I
think this is the first time in a good while we have finished the notes completely. What do you think about that? That's pretty. That's something.
That is something.
I'm now incredibly self-conscious.
Oh yeah. Well, now you're like me every time I turn on the mic to do this.
Oh god damn it! Remember that old like emo stereotype or whatever from festivals? It was two dudes in a MacBook. It's just two dudes in a podcast.
Yeah, that's the 2022 version of that. That's this decade's version of that.
Shit. Well, I mean, somebody's listening to this fucking thing.
Or so I've heard.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know who the hell you are. You're out there. I want to believe.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's crazy, really, because there's more stuff to do, to consume than ever in the history of everything. And then for some reason, a select number of people are choosing this, which like I wouldn't even choose this.
But see, that's the problem is that I would. Otherwise, I wouldn't do this. You know, so
right?
Maybe there's a problem.
Right.
Maybe there's a problem
with me.
If you wouldn't, then maybe we should adjust something.
No, I'm mostly kidding. No, because a podcast talking about this like film and like weird cults and stuff, like sure, yeah, I'd listen to that. I just wouldn't listen to me doing it. It's the problem. But I'm not the target audience because right? I mean, how could I be the target audience if I'm doing
hypothetically, if you had a clone? No. I listened probably to the past iteration where you had a different host. Yeah. But you didn't.
Shit.
Got him.
Well, I've been more into podcasts lately, like the past few months. So I feel like now I would, because I listen to a lot more of them. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to say that. So what are you up to this weekend?
That's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate it. And I really do mean that.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially if you listen to the fucking end of these things. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at DeadEndRoad. Check out the Facebook, facebook.com/DeadEndRoadTV. Because Facebook, you can put podcasts on there now. So I've been doing that. So yeah, if you're on Facebook, you could...
Maybe we'll catch the attention of Paul Schrader. He's always on Facebook. Somebody should send this to Paul Schrader.
He'll start flaming me on Facebook.
No press is bad press, or whatever, however that goes.
Yeah. Check out the Twitch, twitch.tv/DeadEndRoadTV. This will be in the past, but I'll be streaming tonight because I have to raid. But and then do a YouTube search for DeadEndRoad TV. We put all the podcasts there and stream archives when I decide to stream. And as always, the email video@deadendroad.co. Check out our Spotify 2021 playlist. There's a lot of good music on there. Yeah, that's it. We'll see you next week.
That's
Two
it.
Dudes in a
All right.
Podcast.